What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the basketball community. Gonna go straight to the point here, too, guys. Right now, today, as I woke up this morning, and salute to LB for dropping the video too. Adrian Wojnarowski is apparently suspended by ESPN, and the reason why he's been suspended by the network is that he apparently sent out a letter to Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, basically implying to F you, right? So using the word F you in an email message. And the reason why this is important is because Hotley a couple of days ago wrote a letter to the commissioner Adam Silver complaining about social justice messages NBA players are going to be allowed to wear on the back of their jersey, and pretty much deflected the whole thing by basically talking about why this is a non-related issue, and that the fact that the NBA has been silent about the whole China situation ever since Daryl Morey posted a tweet basically standing up for the Hong Kong protesters earlier on in the year. Um, my whole 2 cents of the whole situation is that you know this Hotley guy knew what he was doing. He basically knew what he was doing when he wrote that letter. And there's an article that I read on Forbes.com, an article that I read that pretty much agrees what I feel about it. That Hotley did that to basically use it as a PR move more than anything else. It basically was a PR stunt he basically used it as a definition of trolling to try to seek attention for himself, and he used it in any way possible to try to draw out attention. And Adrian Wojnarowski took the bait and basically brought attention to it, and the network basically responded by basically suspending him. And I've seen a lot of NBA players, basically voicing their support for Adrian Wojnarowski because he's one of their best people to basically talk to when it comes to reporting and breaking out stories. I mean, for the last since he left Yahoo Sports, he worked for Yahoo Sports for 10 years, and basically he's been on ESPN for pretty much for about at least around 2 years or something like that. I'm not sure when he came in, but he's been one of the most respected reporters in the sports media industry, and there's been a lot of people that have been siding with Adrian Wojnarowski on the whole issue there. Now, this is what pretty much some of the details of pretty much what the letter pretty much said. Um, I was trying to find the details of that. So he pretty much wrote a letter addressing how basically that the letter invokes about the NBA's capitalization to China last year, when basically the league publicly admonished Rockets general manager Jared Morey for tweeting support for the Hong Kong protesters, endangering the league's lucrative business agreements with the Chinese government. So he pretty much wrote in the letter, "Let your players stand up for the people of Hong Kong," and and pretty much the whole letter was just a trolling letter more than anything else, because Josh Hatley is a Republican, and we know what time it is when it comes to these kind of people. So the letter, but the saying the obvious that the league's silence about the Hong Kong protesters has basically nothing to do with the nationwide protest against racial injustice, which basically sparked back in Memorial Day in my backyard when George Floyd was basically killed slowly for about 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So a lot of people, a lot of people have been basically voicing their support for Adrian Wojnarowski. To me, I don't really care about too much about him personally, but the optics of this is just really does not just drives me insane, because Josh Hotley knew what he was doing. He was basically trying to get somebody to get some attention on an unrelated issue, to try to draw attention away to the main issue at hand here. And the end of the day, a lot of the players have been pretty much advocating for basically equality and fighting police brutality against black people. And basically a couple months back is that the players basically reached an agreement last week to allow the players to wear nearly 30 social justice messages on their jersey, but it's not limited to phrases like Black Lives Matter, say their names, I can't breathe, speak up, anti-racist, vote, whatever the hell. So at the end of the day, this is pretty much a case of basically a politician that is basically irrelevant and just trying to gain attention for himself. That's just pretty much what it comes down to. Is that, and Adrian Wojnarowski made the professional mistake of taking the bait for it when he basically gave him the email to basically directing "fu" to him. Now we don't. They have ESPN did not release the information about how long will he be suspended. He's just been basically suspended indefinitely, and pretty much they basically declined to comment, and through their actions will probably be more obvious this week when he's not on the air. And so the end of that, the end of his suspension will not be, will not be defined, and it won't be known at this particular point in time. And so I think at the end of the day, this is basically all lines of basically a lot of trolling stuff. That's just basically what it comes down to is. And when ESPN was basically put out a statement through Bruce Harding of the Deadline, this what pretty much he had. This was what the network had to say about it. End quote. This is completely unacceptable behavior, and we do not condone it. It is inexcusable for anyone working for ESPN to respond in the way Adrian did to Senator Hawley. We are addressing it directly with Adrian, and specifics of those conversations will remain internal. And Hawley, as a troll would do, pretty much trolled again on Twitter. Pretty much said, don't make Wojnarowski apologize. He just saying what he really thinks. Call out the NBA. You know your job. This Josh Hawley guy is just an idiot, and he should not be taken seriously. This is a waste of time dealing with this guy, and he's just basically a junior politician in Missouri. So you pretty much know what time it is, with these kind of politicians. I find it very embarrassing how a lot of these politicians are trying to take an irrelevant issue and try to side away to the main course issue at hand here. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. This is the kind of institutional racism that we're seeing in this country right now. That a lot of these people that have that kind of mindset, they try to divert and to direct their attention away from the main issue and direct it into something else. And we as black people, we're too smart for that. We know what they're trying to do. They're trying to deflect away from the issue, and this is what I feel like this is all it comes down to. So at the end of the day, guys, is this a story that is just really just making airwaves because of what Adrian Wojnarowski replied back to the senator? But if you really look at the optics of this is just basically a useless thing. That this honestly, I would not even post this as a story though, to be honest with you. But because it's Adrian Wojnarowski, and because he's so revered in the sports media industry, it provided more juice and context to the whole thing. And so and I've never seen Adrian Wojnarowski do these kind of things before. So I've researched and looked for records about this. I mean, this is something I don't think he's ever done before. But if anyone knows about it, just let me know in the comment section. But yeah, that's just how I feel about the whole situation. And just honestly though, it's just not worth my time and worth the energy to sweat over it though too, because there's a lot more important stuff to deal with here. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section.